Are you drinking too much? Have you tried to stop drinking? Do you want to stop drinking? Lots of questions, aren't there? Now, it's coming up to January the 1st. I know it's old hat, New Year's resolution, but you've got to have a plan. You've got to have a plan to stop drinking. You can't just stop drinking and turn back 40 years of drinking, or 30 or 20 or 10 in a week. You need to know what you're doing. And here's a few ideas for you. If you're alcohol dependent, you really got to look at getting some medical attention. If you're drinking too much, you can cut down a little bit. But what you need is a plan. And I think the 1st of January, although it's a bit of a cliche, let's start again, let's have a fresh start, I think it's a good time to start. Because it's a date everyone knows. It's a day in which you can focus on. And you need a focus if you want to stop drinking. Lots of people do dry January, but I'm looking to get people off long term. But dry January is a good start. For some people, an hour without a drink is good. I was like that. I couldn't stop drinking at all. I was drinking 24 hours a day, other than when I was asleep or comatose or whatever. I was in a hell of a state, really bad. I didn't have any focus, you see. You need a focus. You need some help. I'm here to help you. I'll get sober with you if you want. I've been sober 5 years. It's a great life. It's much better. So what you've got to do is get yourself a pen, a bit of paper. Everyone's got a pen and a bit of paper. Try and write down what you want to achieve, how you're going to achieve it, and what your time scale is. If you're drinking heavily, then, as I said, you've got to try and slow down a little bit. Let's work towards New Year's Day, okay? Or let's start the 2nd of January, whatever suits you. Let's look at January as a starting point. And let's look at putting some things in place, some support. You need a little bit of an idea what you're going to do with your spare time. If you're working, you obviously know what your schedule is. If you're not working, it's a little bit more difficult and you've got more free time. But you need to start writing something down. As like, I'm getting 10 pints a day. I'm going to cut down to 9 pints for 3 days, and so on. Do some sort of schedule to yourself. These are just examples. Because if you don't do something, you're going to drift into another year. That's exactly what happened to me. For years and years and years, it went on and on and on. I had no focus. In the end, I was, well, seriously ill, as you know. So you've got to get a plan together. What do I want to achieve? When I'm going to start this? How I'm going to do it? Drop me a line if you need any help on that. And then you've got to start and think, well, I want my life back. Because you can't get your life back. Because if you don't get your life back now, it's just going to get worse and worse. It's a vicious circle of going downhill, faster than snuff a dike, really. Because everything's going to suffer. Your family, your home life. You might lose your house even if you haven't got any cash. The money goes down, work dries up, all this sort of thing. Then you've got your health problems, and you've got your mental health problems. There's all sorts of physical and mental health issues that come around with it. So we've got a plan, write a few things down, and we've got to try and keep focused. There's a lot of, the main thing is, for me, speaking to people get bored. I'm not on about dependent drinkers, I'm about middle of the road drinkers here. They get bored and they think, well, I'll just go down the pub. Or somebody brings them up, come down for a pint. And you start to go back into your old habits again after the end of January or the middle of January when you give up. So what we're going to be looking at is not thinking, I'm going to give up for life. Emotionally, you've got to think, well, I'm going to try and have 1 day off it. Or 1 day of cutting down and 2 days of cutting down and slowly taper off. If you're middle of the road drinker, if you're a very heavy drinker, dependent as I was, then it's a little bit more complicated. As in, you've got to be really careful when you taper down. And as I said before, if you have any doubts, see a doctor. I'm not a doctor, but I've got a lot of experience in this just from my personal side. And the time I spent in hospitals, the doctors I've spoken to and all this sort of thing. So focus on what you're going to do with your spare time, because if you add up the amount of time you spend planning to drink, drinking in the pub, and then recovering, which is the major part of your time, there's a lot of time to fill in. Have you got any old hobbies you can rekindle? Maybe you get some books, listen to some music, all these sort of things, because you're going to get bored. If you like a drink, you're going to get bored very quickly, because this is a massive part of most people's social life in this country is alcohol. I've had a lot of people who've had far too much to drink at Christmas. We'll have far too much to drink at New Year, and we'll have far too much to drink the weekend after when there's a football match on. It's constant in this country. And as you may know, deaths from alcohol-related diseases is the highest it's ever been. And liver-related deaths, which are referred to there, is 35% up on females, which is crazy, isn't it? Massive, massive increase in alcohol-related deaths and liver disease deaths in females. So you get your plan of action. Let's go fast forward to the 1st or 2nd of January, let's go to say the 1st. I've had a few drinks the night before. Start to focus on things that are going to make you feel better. Get some good food in. Learn to cook if you can't cook. Get yourself a recipe book. Everything's downloadable now, there's loads online. Start making some simple things to eat. And then start to do more productive things. If you haven't been for a walk for a while, go for a walk. Don't matter if it's raining or cold or whatever it is. A 10-minute, 15-minute walk, if you can manage it, is so invigorating. You'll see people, you see a load of people, you might see dogs, you've been in nature. It's my way you live, you're in the city centre, you'll see all sorts of carrying on going on. Get out of your flat or your park or your house or wherever you live in. Get out and about. That's another massive factor. It was for me. I'm not about running to the gym and putting Lycra on. I'm talking about get some sort of exercise, get some fresh air. Don't just sit and wallow in self-pity. That's another big issue. Someone once told me that if you're very ill, you've got to do two things which you don't feel like doing. Those two things are to get moving and to start eating something better, start eating something healthy. Even if you can't get out, try and get some decent food delivered. People will help you out. Even if you're completely brassic, you haven't got any cash, somebody will help you out. Get in touch with someone. Because once you get in touch with someone, it starts the ball rolling. If you do nothing, as I did, then you'll just end up in a total mess. And I nearly died. Now, I was a very extreme case, and I managed to get back. And this is what I'm here for, to try and help you, because I know it sounds like a miracle, but to come back from what I was like, it actually shocked me. Because I never thought, when I was in the depths of it all, at the bottom of a bottle, that I could get a life back. I had no future. I had nothing. Absolutely. I didn't have my mental health. That was suffering. I had all sorts of weird and wonderful thoughts. And when I look back 5 years ago, I never thought I'd be able to even go for a walk again. I couldn't get out of the apartment in the end. I had to get a wheelchair to the ambulance, all this sort of thing. For 2 years I was in and out of hospital. Let's move forward. Okay, a new beginning, that's what we're going to call it, a new beginning. So you've got a little plan of action here. You've got a bit of support. Maybe start going to the AA. It didn't suit me, but it might suit you. I've got a couple of friends who are heavily into AA. It's helped them. They've been sober for years and years now. Once you get a few days under your belt, this becomes a little bit of a cautious time. A lot of people think, well, I've had a few days off it now. I feel really good. I've saved a few quid even. Maybe just try one again. Now, relapsing, to me, is the killer. It's really the worst thing you can ever do. I was off for 8 years, relapsed. I was off for 4 years, relapsed. I've spoken to a friend of mine who was off for 10 years and relapsed. As soon as you have 2 or 3 drinks, as soon as you have one, actually, it takes you back to 2 or 3, then 4 and 5. Within a week, you're back to square one again. All those 8 years, 10 years, 5 years, 6 months of sobriety is lost in one pint, one glass, one gin, one whiskey, whatever you're drinking. You've got to be very careful of relapse. So to recap, pen and paper, yeah, focus. What do you want to achieve? What is achievable? Obviously, you can't become an Olympic runner if you've been drinking for years and years. That's impossible. Go for a walk. Start saving a little bit of money. Put that in there. Maybe put £10 a week in, £10 a month, doesn't matter. Put into a little pot or into a bank account the money you're saving, yeah? Get out for a walk, plan to get out for a walk. Buy yourself a second-hand bike, whatever it is. Start to do other things. Because when you're a drinker, all you focus on is the drink. You don't even concentrate on your family. You don't even concentrate on yourself. Self-care goes out the window, all that sort of thing. So you want to be moving about a bit, getting some good food in, plan of action, get the old hobbies out, go to the charity shop, get some second-hand books, do whatever you can to keep busy. That's the danger. And once you get a little bit into it, then not to relapse. Now, from the 1st of January, we'll do a little post on there. And I tried earlier in the year to get people to check in with me every day if you're going to do this. I'll keep an eye on people and just make sure that they're well supported, at least on here, because there's a lot of people other than me on here now. There's 8,500 people who will help you because we're all in the same boat, yeah? So don't do this alone. I want you to be successful at this, because you can be. If I can do it, you can do it, because I was in death's door. Way worse than you were, way worse. Some people come on here and they're drinking far too much, but they've got no physical problems, but they want to stop. The only way to stop, as I've said before, you've got to replace the time and the effort you put into drink with something else, and you'll find life will completely turn around. I've just had an article printed in a local newspaper. There's a post on there with a link to the website as well. Have a look at that. quite interesting. And if you benefit from the channel, please subscribe. Any comments, obviously just leave me a line, and have a good day. I'll speak to you soon.